With its 36 seasons, The Simpsons is one of the longest-running and most acclaimed series in television history. Through its sharp satire and humorous critique of modern society, it manages to make us both laugh and think. However, beneath this seemingly innocent production lies a chilling mystery. What if The Simpsons is much more than just a television show? What if the series is a coded book of prophecies, a modern oracle revealing fragments of our future with frightening accuracy? From Donald Trump's presidency to the discovery of the Higgs boson, the so-called God particle, and even surprising technological advancements, the list of so-called Simpsons prophecies is both long and unsettling. Is this all just a coincidence, or is there a deeper, hidden conspiracy behind it? Let's uncover the truth behind the Simpsons prophecies that have taken the internet by storm. Since ancient times, humankind has burned with the desire to see and understand the future. Figures like the oracles of Delphi, Nostradamus, and Edgar Cayce have tried throughout history to read the fate of humanity, and some of them have indeed made remarkably accurate predictions. Yet none have been as precise in their foresight as these yellow-skinned prophets of the modern age. On popular internet forums such as Reddit, a particular topic has been gaining attention over the past 2 or 3 years. Do The Simpsons predict the future? If any of you have delved into this subject and visited these forums, you've probably read the endless theories under the main threads. Theories ranging from the show's producers being high-ranking Freemasons to the writers being time travelers, from the show serving as a government propaganda system to the idea that it actually proves the cyclic nature of time itself. While some of these predictions show minor similarities, others contain truly extraordinary foresight that would require advanced knowledge of mathematics and physics. So how do The Simpsons pull this off? How can they predict events almost perfectly, even years before they happen? If you're ready, our journey begins.
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu.
Oh, my juice loosener's never gonna come.
Hey, Dad, this came for you in the mail.
Woohoo!
As I mentioned earlier, The Simpsons. Predictions range from small coincidences to shocking prophecies, a vast spectrum that sometimes leads people to believe there are serious, dark conspiracies and powerful forces working behind the scenes. Let's start with some examples. One of the most famous predictions made by the show was about President Donald Trump. In an episode that aired on March 19, 2000 Orange, in a future where Lisa Simpson becomes the first female president of the United States, Donald Trump is mentioned as her predecessor. And indeed, on November 8, 2016, exactly 16 years later, this prediction came true when Trump was elected president. By the way, here's a small but important note. There are many TikTok channels claiming that the real footage of Trump descending an escalator had appeared in The Simpsons years before it happened. Don't forget to always question such things before believing them, because in reality, that scene was created after Trump actually made that appearance, meaning it was not a prediction at all. I especially like to mention such facts because people tend to instantly believe everything they see. Now let's move on to the tangible, truly accurate, and fascinating predictions. In the 10th episode of Season 5, which aired in 1993, there's a circus scene where a white tiger attacks the performer on stage. 10 years later, Roy Horn was attacked by his own white tiger during a live performance. In the Simpsons movie, 2007, it was shown that the U.S. National Security Agency, NSA, was spying on everyone. And indeed, in 2013, NSA employee Edward Snowden revealed the agency's massive surveillance program and exposed it to the entire nation. In the 1996 episode titled "When You Dish Upon a Star," the sign of the American media giant Fox and reads, a division of Walt Disney. And 21 years later, Disney actually bought Fox and made it one of its subsidiaries. There are many other small and large coincidences like these, but two of them are truly extraordinary. One points to the greatest conspiracy of the modern era, and the other reveals reveals one of the most complex physics problems in the world, shown exactly 15 years before its discovery. On September 21st, 1997, in the episode New York versus Homer Simpson, Lisa runs to her family holding a magazine and shows it to them. On the magazine cover, there's a large New York title. In the background, the Twin Towers form the number 11, and in the foreground, a big $9 sign appears, together forming 9/11. The symbolism and imagery in that scene are exactly identical to the tragic September 11th attacks that supposedly took place years later. And this episode aired 5 years before the event. This coincidence was repeatedly questioned by fans, but the Simpsons writers, such as Josh Weinstein, have consistently stated that it was merely an irrelevant coincidence. Now, under normal circumstances, one might just say that could happen by chance. But when we consider that the 9/11 attacks were allegedly planned years in advance and specifically organized by the U.S. government on that particular day, and that this event had been subtly foreshadowed in various visual and printed media beforehand, it's hard not to have at least a few lingering questions in mind. From this strange coincidence, let's move on to one even more astonishing. In 2012, at the CERN laboratories near Geneva, Switzerland, scientists announced the results of one of the greatest experiments in human history, the discovery of the Higgs boson, known in popular culture as the God particle. This particle is what gives energy its mass. In short, it's what allows the physical universe, as we know it, to exist. Actually, the term God particle is a media invention. The real term was goddamn particle, a nickname born from scientists' frustration because it was extremely difficult to detect. However, as various authors and media outlets popularized it, the misnomer God particle stuck in public memory. Now you might ask, what does this have to do with The Simpsons? Well, it's quite fascinating. Exactly 15 years before this discovery, in the episode The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, Homer Simpson performs an experiment at home and writes a formula on a chalkboard. To most people, it looks meaningless. But in reality, that formula predicts the mass of the Higgs boson, which would be discovered 15 years later through the most expensive scientific experiment ever conducted by humankind. And here's the astonishing part. The formula's result differs from the actual Higgs boson mass by only 0.0000 and plus 116, just a tiny fraction of a gram off. How could such a thing even be possible? How could they possibly know so many things in advance? Well, the truth is, there's actually an explanation for all of it. Normally, how many writers does a TV show have? 5, 10, maybe 20. Unless it's a massive project, the number usually doesn't reach extreme figures. But how many people do you think have written for The Simpsons so far? According to estimates, at least 155 writers have worked on the show. That's a very serious number. And what's even more striking is that many of these writers have entirely different professional backgrounds. Let me give you a few examples. Al Jean, one of the earliest writers of the show, holds a degree in mathematics from Harvard University. Mike Rice graduated from Harvard as well with a degree in English literature. David X. Cohen has a degree in physics from Harvard and a master's degree in computer science from the University of California, Berkeley. Jeff Westbrook earned a PhD in computer science from Princeton University after studying mathematics at Harvard. And the list goes on. Dozens of chemists, physicists, mathematicians, literary experts, and social scientists, all highly skilled and specialized in their fields. Now, for those wondering what this has to do with our topic, here's the answer. When you put exceptionally intelligent people in a room and ask them to write scenarios based on their own expertise and current world events, you inevitably start to see scripts that show a remarkable to interpret and foresee the future. Let me give you the perfect example. Remember earlier when I mentioned that Homer Simpson, in one episode, wrote a formula on his chalkboard at home that accurately calculated the mass of the Higgs boson 15 years before it was proven? Well, the writer responsible for including that formula in the episode was David X. Cohen. Cohen collaborated with Davis Sheminovich, a physics professor at Columbia University, specifically for that few-second scene you see on screen. Together, these two brilliant mathematicians and physicists developed that extremely complex advanced physics equation. prediction. Yes, they literally created a real, intricate scientific formula just for a joke in a cartoon. And 15 years later, when real experiments were conducted, the results turned out to be astonishingly close to what that formula had predicted. But remember, we're talking about particle physics here, a field where even a deviation containing 20 extra zeros next to a decimal point is considered a significant error. Still, the fact that two scientists came up with such a near-accurate equation purely for fun in a TV show is nothing short of incredible. That's exactly what I mean. When you combine people with wide-ranging expertise, experts from different disciplines, and tell them, write a clever, plausible future scenario, their analytical brilliance allows them to create predictions that often come surprisingly close to reality. Take the Donald Trump example. Again, many people say, how could they possibly know that this man would become president? That's impossible. But in fact, Donald Trump himself had mentioned the possibility of running for president 20 years before the Simpsons episode during an appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
People have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
Probably not. I really have the inclination to do it. I love what I'm doing. I really like it. But I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
And that wasn't the only time. He repeated similar ideas in many other interviews afterward. So while it may seem strange to us now, for experts who closely followed political and social trends, it was actually a plausible scenario. And that's the real truth behind The Simpsons. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next videos.